Haskell started as one of the federally appropriated boarding schools to essentially deculturalize Native American students in the late 19th century. At that point in time, there were three of them that opened, and the focus was really after what they had seen with the on-reservation boarding schools, and the boarding schools were too close to reservations, as it was too easy for students to get home and visit their families and basically undo all of the work that was done by the boarding schools. So they decided to operate these schools a little bit further away. So the one that really started that push towards the further away from the reservations would be Carlisle, which opened in Pennsylvania. Following success at Carlisle, the United States government decided to open three more of these schools. Haskell was one of them. The reason we are here in Lawrence is because Dudley Chase Haskell, who was a United States representative from Kansas, from Lawrence, was the chairman of the House of Representatives Committee on Indian Affairs at that point in time, from I think it was 1881 to 83. And so he was instrumental in getting the school located here in Lawrence in his home district.
I was a student at Haskell back in the late 90s, early 2000s, and I got a bachelor's degree there in environmental science. And I knew about Haskell because in my family I had grandparents that attended there way back in the 1930s. And when you're a student at Haskell, you definitely know that you're on hallowed ground because you walk around and you see a cemetery out there in the distance, and you know that students were brought there and that they died there, and that it originally had a very sad beginning and a long history of a dark period in American history. But by the time I was there, it had transformed into a positive place where, it eventually became a junior college and then a university. And so it was definitely a happy place when I was there. It was one of the best years of my life, attending there and meeting people and great teachers, lots of great experiences. So it really was a very positive experience for me.
That was really, the evolution of Haskell was really brought about by the necessity of the changing needs in tribal nations. As time went on, it was pretty well recognized that there were different educational requirements that were required by the tribes to cope and deal with modern American society. So you see, as early as the 1890s, we brought about the School of Business, we brought about the teacher education program, we brought about nursing, things like that. You really start to see a big shift start in the 1920s when we're accredited as a high school by the state of Kansas. And then when we continued on to offer post-high school vocational classes in the 20s and 30s. And then the big push to become a junior college in 1970 and then a university in 1993.
It was really amazing to be there, and there's a lot of historic buildings, and so you're in the buildings and you know that you're sitting in some of the same places as the ones that went before, and I think that it really kind of encapsulates a lot of what our identity is that it's a layering of, we have this history that is, it can be sad, and knowing what happened is so hard, but then also knowing that those ones that went before us were so strong and resilient and survived, and to then later walk in their footsteps is really encouraging. And then in Native culture, it's very known that the young people and getting them educated and empowering them to make a difference in their communities is the only way that we're going to continue to survive. So being part of that environment and feeling so supported, and knowing that the old ones were praying for us and had so much hope in us to succeed, then that really, as a student, really made me feel empowered.
You'll see with the stadium dedication in 1926, there was a huge interest in Native cultural gatherings, so they were allowed to hold a powwow here. So that really opened the floodgates for the Indian Club in the 1930s and 40s, where they would go and they would perform dances at community events in schools and things like that. So it was through performance that really allowed for culture to really begin to be appreciated here at Haskell and be encouraged by the administrations.
I grew up in the city, so I also grew up off the reservation and away from my tribal community. So I definitely, when I got to Haskell, really learned more and felt what it was like to be a part of a tribal community. And the neat thing about Haskell is it's like a melting pot of different tribes from all over the country. So I met people from the Southwest, from Alaska, from the Northeast, just the whole country. And we all have unique cultures, unique languages. And so to learn from all of them was amazing. And we formed lifelong friendships that I still continue to maintain today. So I definitely felt more connected to not only my tribe, but also to other tribes throughout the country.
I think a huge aspect of that is just being present in the community and for people to know that we're here, to come and see us. We have events that are open to the general public. We have art market every fall. We have powwows every semester. And those are just the ones that are regularly scheduled events. We have other events going on all the time. So people are always welcome to come visit us.
To keep that identity is, I think it's important not only for the preservation of a beautiful culture, but also for our own health, for our own mental health and well-being, and being able to connect to the earth and to our culture. It's huge.